Hi and welcome to today's video. So today I'm tackling my kitchen cupboards. I'm giving them a good clean and a little organizational love. So if you need a bit of motivation to do the same, let's definitely do this together. So I always start by clearing everything out of my cupboards. And this is a bit easy on my part because I store everything in bins. I like to keep everything organized in bins. It's easier when you actually need to do this process as well, where you're taking everything out. So imagine if I didn't have these baskets and these things were sitting individually in my cupboards, this would be an even mammoth task. So although it's a bit chaotic in the beginning, but it is a necessary step. So once everything is out, I will then grab a bowl of warm water with a few drops of dish soap and start wiping everything down. As you can see, there were things at the back that were just thrown there at the back, and maybe primarily because, I let my kids to put things back. They don't always put things where they belong. So I like having a bowl of warm water and dish soap near the space where I'm working so that I don't run around the kitchen and waste time with those extra steps going to my kitchen sink. I go in with with a cloth and just wipe everything down. And for the stubborn, greasy spots, the ones that somehow appear out of nowhere, I bring out my secret weapon that is my magic eraser. I usually get these from a macro and only use half at a time. And a few swipes and the oil stains are gone. It's honestly so satisfying. So once the cupboards are nice and clean, I then allow them to dry before putting things back where they belong. So this I was doing on my kitchen day, and then as I'm cleaning my cupboards at the same time, I had my dish towels soaking in the sink, the dish towels that I used for that week. So that I could wash them and air dry them outside. So I'm doing that step while I'm cleaning so that by the time I go to the sink, they are going to be easily washable. Now for the fun part is the organizing. So I like to group like items together, like the baking supplies in one basket, the teas and the coffees in another. And I am going to then label each basket this time around. So I buy my spices from a shop called SA Baking Supplies. They are usually very affordable. So if you have one near your area, they are worth checking out. This is where I also get my baking supplies as well. As you can see, as I'm taking things out, some of the things I'm even shocked that they are there. My daughter is doing hospitality, so they tend to bake a lot during the week, and they are in need of certain ingredients that I usually don't buy. So that's why probably some of the things that are in that container. But that is why I need to come from time to time and rearrange things in my own kitchen so that I have it the way I like it and my home is running smoothly. So another thing that I am even shocked about is that the fact that my kids put chewing gum on one of the baskets, and I was trying to get that one out. I was really shocked how they managed to do that one. So the spices are so affordable. As you can see there, my paprika, a 500 gram, I got for about 52, I think it was 52 Rand 30 cents. And all my herbs, I also get them from there. So this basket is usually the basket I will take out to refill my small jars, those that are next to the stove that I use while I'm cooking. So putting things and corralling them in baskets helps a lot. And since I got labels, I'm going to add labels to every basket so that it's easier for putting things back where they belong, just to combat that issue where my kids don't always put things where they belong. But this step also needs a little bit of patience and just repetition, and find everybody will know where everything belongs. So once all the baskets are wiped, I then take out things that are opened, because this is actually the pantry that feeds my working pantry. So my working pantry is the one that I have jars and everything is in a jar and there's nothing in its original package. So that one is my working pantry, and this is supposed to house everything that I buy from the grocery store that I don't really need immediately. Speaking of grocery store, comment down below and let me know how much you budget or spend each and every month on groceries, and also let me know what size your family is, and also mention whether you include toiletries in that budget or toiletries are a separate amount, and also let me know what how much that amount is. This is because I am going to be hosting a grocery saving challenge for the month of May. And this is for anyone who wants to save 20% of their grocery amount. There's always this one principle I use when I want to save money, and it works all the time. So this will be in my membership, the Home Economist Club. So if you have not joined the membership, this is the right time to join. If you want to save 20% of your groceries, this is what I will be helping the Home Economist Club to do in the month of May. So I'm giving you a sneak preview of what is coming up. So to give you an idea, if you're currently spending 5,000 Rand on your groceries, 20% of that is 1,000 Rand. With this principle, you can confidently save 1,000 Rand from your grocery budget. Having this bowl with water is very useful because I don't have to then go back to the sink to actually wash the baskets when I need to do so. And actually having plastic baskets is rather better than having your wicker basket, especially when you're storing foods, because it is then easier to clean. So now I'm tackling my baking basket. This is a basket where I house everything baking related. And I once got a clearance sale where they were phasing out this traditional syrup. I actually bought this syrup last year, I think beginning of Jan, and I was able to buy, I think, 18 at a go, and now I'm down to my last 3. So it's good to be mindful of those clearance sales when they do have them in the stores. From time to time. And another thing is buying my baking supplies from SA Baking, because I'm able to buy things in bulk, like that vanilla essence. I bought it last year as well. I think now it's almost, I think I've used it for 18 months. And then now I'm about to buy another container of it as well, because it lasts longer and I don't have to think about it. And then also I got my chia seeds from there, and then I also get my chalk chips from there. I store my yeast in this organizer that I got from Pep Home. I actually got it from the bathroom section, but I use it to store my yeast. And this box of yeast, I like buying it once a year. And I know that once I buy this box, it will last me the whole year. Then I don't have to think about buying yeast for the rest of the year. So it's very convenient to do that. And then a really good organizational tip that I've learned throughout the years is to create a step saving kitchen. So my kitchen is organized efficiently. So it's organized in the way that I use it. So I store this yeast container in my baking cabinet. And my baking cabinet is a cupboard which is above me. I reach out for my baking ingredients in the baking cabinet when I bake, and the cupboard down below will house all my baking pans and my cooling racks and everything that I would need when I'm baking, my mixing bowls or everything that I would need when I'm baking. And then right next to those cupboards is where my oven is. So my oven is the closest to those cupboards, and I intentionally selected that cupboard because I wanted the cupboard closest to the oven so that it is closest when I bake. And then same with everything else. I keep my spices near my stove because it is efficient for cooking. And think about that as you are organizing your kitchen. Am I organizing for efficiency? Or organize with a greater purpose in mind so that your kitchen is a step saving kitchen and you don't have to run around. That is why even now when I'm organizing and cleaning my cupboards, I will get a bowl and put it closer to where I'm working so that I am not running around throughout the kitchen when it is not necessary. So with these bigger baskets, they were really dirty. There was no way I was just going to give them a wipe. They really needed a scrubbing down. So that is why I brought them to my sink to just give them a nice scrub. I think they are the dirtiest because they were at the lowest, they were at a lower level. So I probably, even my boy can pull it out. So now I'm also washing my kitchen towels and then I will hang them outside. So this week I didn't have to boil my kitchen towels because usually the whiter ones I will then boil in a pot on my stove. This is good for killing bacteria and also to give them that brightness again. So because today I was doing my kitchen cupboards and I was wiping those down, I didn't want to do the extra step of boiling my towels. I will boil them next week. I usually boil them every week when I wash them. After washing them, I will give them a good boil so that all the bacteria is killed, and then I will have fresh towels to use for the next following week. So I've used these baskets to organize all over my house. I also use them to store our additional toiletries and a stockpile of our cleaning products. I also use them to store curriculum for my kids for homeschool. I also use them, the smaller size ones, to store toys for my boy. In the next video, I'm going to share also the toy rotation and how, because I need to clean up all my son's toys. Be showing that in a video where I'm going to do the toy rotation and the organization for my son. So I'm on a organizational kick this time of a year. I like to go through my house and organize and make sure that it is thoroughly decluttered and organized before we go into the winter. So just for a plug, if you want to get these baskets, you can get them at Game. I've seen them at Game. The first two that I bought from Game. But after discovering that Africa Cash and Carry in Joburg, Crown Mines, that sells them, I then started buying them from there. And because I have a lot and I knew that I needed a lot, I bought them every time I would go there, because I go there. I used to go there every month, but now I'm going there every second month. But when I was going there every single month, I would buy 4. Then I know that I would allocate money to buy 4. The big ones are 49 rands for the big ones, and then the smaller or the thinner ones, the ones that I used on the top shelf, those ones, I think they are I forget the amount, but they are not, I think they just under 20 or 30 rand, somewhere there. But I know the big ones are 49 rand. I think the smaller ones are 27 rand or something like that. But if you go anywhere else, you'll find that these are quite costly, because the first 2 that I bought, I think I bought for 100 rand each. But then when I discovered that the Cash and Carry had them and they are very affordable, then I started collecting them from there. And I have been organizing my house with these ever since. And then when it comes to the labels I got from Pep Home. I think I'm going to go buy another pack, because I think I'm going to do this throughout my home and label everything, even with my kids' toys as well. So I'm finally done with that cupboard and it is looking good. So on to the next cupboard. So this cupboard is where I store my baking trays and everything that I need for my baking. You will see there everything from measuring cups to measuring spoons to smaller mixing bowls to everything that I use to decorate cakes, to everything that I would need when I'm baking, sifters and cake pans, and my cooling racks are in this cupboard, because the cupboard above is the one I was talking about where I say I store my baking ingredients. So I'm going in and I'm organizing that. I lost footage of the cupboard, what it looked like before taking everything out. I don't know how I managed to have lost that footage, or maybe I didn't press record now that I think about it. But I'm going in here and I'm organizing with baskets. These baskets I got from the thrift store, and I like also using thrifted items to organize everything. And I like that when I'm baking, I just take out this basket and I know that everything that I need, I'm going to be able to find in there. Whereas instead of putting everything in my drawers. So in my drawers, I only put my cutlery, but anything extra that is baking related, then I keep in here. I also took a rack to organize my chopping boards, keep them here in all varying sizes. There are ones where I only use for my meats, and there are ones where I use for my vegetables, and I've got one for my red meats, and I've got one for my chicken. So all the baking things with my daughter's recipe book and everything I house in here. Like I said, this is the cupboard which is very close to my oven and also close to my table if I am baking and I want to film it. Most of the time you see me baking on my kitchen table, but I do that for filming purposes because that's where the lighting is good. But generally, every day when I'm baking, I will bake on my countertops. So that is the closest. Everything is there. That is why my flour sits on the other side, because that is where I usually bake. So whenever I organize my kitchen, I think about what am I doing in the zone. So my kitchen is divided into zones. So that zone is my baking zone. So that is where I usually do all of my baking. And then again, I have these containers as well to house everything, because I like to store everything in containers. It's very easy. These containers I also got from the cash and carry. So now, quite recently, I went back looking for those original baskets that I have, the ones that you saw in the other cupboard. But when I went there, they didn't have them. They had them in other colors. They had them, but they had them in other colors. And I don't want any other color except for white, because I've chosen white to be my organizational basket for my home and the wicker basket. So anything else I do not use unless I'm using acrylic for the fridge. But I keep to one color palette or one color when it comes to organizing, so that everything is cohesive. So I got those. I got the bigger ones and the smaller ones. In the smaller ones, I save all my cake decorating supplies, because there's a lot of them. I save them in one tiny basket. And in the other smaller basket, that is where I house my mixing jugs. And then with the other bigger baskets, I will keep I keep my sifters in one, and then I keep my cake pans in the other. And then that is how I'm organizing everything. And in these little basket holders, that's where I have all my baking supplies. Now, onto my corner cabinet. This is where I store all my pots. So I've got 4 sets of pots, and I keep the 2 sets on one corner and 2 sets on the other side of the kitchen. So all my pots, they stay in the corner cabinets on either side of the kitchen. So today I will be organizing this one. This one didn't really need a lot of, or like organization, because it is not like, if you can check my cupboards, they are not cluttered. I keep what I need in my house. I declutter. I've been decluttering as I go along, and I've learned what style I like, what things I like. And then over the years, I've been collecting things that actually give me joy. So in here, there are 2 sets of pots. And then I've got my colander, which matches my white pot sets, which I keep with those pots because I usually use that colander. I've got another stainless steel colander, which I use, which I keep Okay, I've got another set colander, which is stainless steel, that I keep on the other side of my cupboard, which is the one we use on a more frequent basis than this one. So with this cupboard, it was very dirty. The bottom one, I was even surprised how why it was so dirty on the inside, but there was nothing the magic eraser could not do. So the magic eraser really came in handy this time around. So after this, I just clean it up and then put them back where they belong. I like keeping my white set on top, and then at the bottom I keep my stainless steel set with my canning supplies and my canning pot. Then I like to keep those at the bottom. So I also keep my wooden bowl in there. I used to keep my wooden bowl in my baking area, but I've since swapped it out with my chopping boards because I wanted to keep my chopping boards there, because where I used to store my chopping boards, I felt like it was not the best place for storing them. So that's the only thing that is in there, which is good, because sometimes when I have a lot of fruits, then I will use that wooden bowl in that side of the counter. So I always think about where would I need this thing, and that is where I will store it. And I know when I can, usually I'm using that area for my canning. So that is why I keep also my canning supplies around that very same area. So everything really around my organizational setup is well thought of. Like I actually, when I was starting to organize my kitchen, believe it or not, I took sticky notes, and then I started to zone my kitchen, and I started to ask myself, what do I usually do here? So, and then I will put those sticky notes around the kitchen to understand my zones, and then from there, that's when I decided where everything would go. So now I'm just showing you the final look, what I was able to do on this day, and I was quite happy with the turnout, because my kitchens now, they feel fresh, they feel newly organized. But thank you so much for watching this video, and stay blessed.